Now, there are moments in life when it feels like God is flipping the page, and you're not sure what comes next. The chapter you were in might have been hard, yes, but at least you knew what to expect. Now, the scenery is different. The rhythm is unfamiliar. And you're holding your breath, waiting to see what this new season will bring. That's because transitions can be terrifying. Whether it's stepping into a new role, letting go of a relationship, grieving a loss, changing careers, or simply sensing God nudging you into something new. We all face moments when the page turns. And the truth is, it rarely turns the way we expect it to. Isaiah 43:19, God said to his prophet, I'm about to do something new. I have already begun, do you not see it? I will make a pathway in the wilderness. I will create rivers in a dry wasteland. God doesn't always give us a full preview of the next chapter, but he always writes with purpose. Point 1. Every new chapter begins with uncertainty. There's something unsettling about starting something new when you don't have all the answers, especially when God is turning the page, but not giving you a sneak peek. Remember Genesis 12, when God told Abram, Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to a land I will show you. Can we pause there? Notice God didn't hand him a map, didn't give him a date, a destination, or a detailed explanation. He simply said, go. In other words, trust that I will lead you there. Remember, Abram was 75 years old when this happened. He had already built a life, established a rhythm, and probably thought most of his story had already been written. But God interrupted it, not to ruin it, but to reroute it. And Abraham obeyed, stepping into a journey he couldn't predict, but chose to believe that it was worth it. And understand, it wasn't neat or simple. Along the way, he faced famine, conflict, and deep questions about the promise God had made. But every step Abraham took into uncertainty was a step deeper into God's plan. What about you? I ask because I know how we crave clarity. We want the blueprint. We want to know what's coming next. But life with God doesn't always work that way. Sometimes he just says, go. Trust me. Leave what's comfortable. Move forward before it all makes sense. Man, that can be hard. Maybe you're in a chapter right now where everything familiar is fading. A job has ended. A relationship has changed. Or God is asking you to take a step that scares you. And your first instinct might be to say, God, I need more details. But what if the details aren't what's missing? What if it's your trust he's developing? Abraham didn't obey because he knew the destination. He obeyed because he knew who was asking. Here's your takeaway. When the next chapter starts and you don't feel ready, remember, you're not called to figure everything out. You're called to follow the master. God doesn't always show you the full picture up front, but he will always walk with you in it. Faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about saying yes, even when you don't. So if God is turning the page in your life, don't panic. don't freeze. And don't wait for the perfect condition. If he's leading you, then guess what? Then you're not lost. You're just walking by faith, like Abraham. And that's exactly where you're supposed to be. Point 2. God doesn't waste transitions. He uses them to transform you. Some of the hardest seasons in life are the in-between ones. You're no longer where you used to be, but you're not quite where you thought you'd end up. You're trying to move forward, but nothing around you feels settled. You're not sure if you're being delayed, detoured, or downright forgotten. These are the spaces where we wrestle most with doubt. And yet these are often the exact spaces where God does his deepest work. Let's talk about Joseph. As a teenager, God gave him dreams. Dreams of influence, of elevation, of being placed in a position of authority. But those dreams didn't lead him straight to the palace. It led him straight into a pit. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused by someone he served with integrity, and thrown into prison for years. Not days, years. To everyone else, it looked like Joseph's story had gone completely off track. But the whole time, God was preparing him. Through betrayal, Joseph learned forgiveness. Through slavery, he learned stewardship. Through prison, he learned patience and responsibility. And through all of it, he learned to rely fully on God. So Joseph wasn't just being delayed, he was being developed. And when the time came, he was elevated to second in command over Egypt, not just to fulfill his dream, but to save others in the process. Now, we don't like the in-between. We want to fast forward to the good parts, the fulfillment, the breakthrough, the celebration. But God doesn't rush the process. Why? Because he cares more about who you're becoming than how fast you'll get there. Maybe right now you feel stuck between doors. One is closed, the next one hasn't opened yet. You're praying, but God seems quiet. You're trying, but nothing is moving. It's frustrating, lonely. It's tiring. But here's the thing. You're not wasting time. That job you didn't get, that opportunity that fell through, that friendship that faded. It may have felt like a loss, but in God's hands it can become preparation. Sometimes he removes the comfortable to reveal the capable. Sometimes he lets us sit in silence to teach us how to hear his voice. Here's your takeaway. Transition seasons aren't just pauses. They're preparation grounds. They're where God stretches your faith, refines your character, and lays a foundation deep enough to carry the promise when it finally comes. If you're in a holding pattern right now, don't mistake it for punishment. God is not wasting this season. He's forming something in you that your future will thank you for. So breathe. Stay faithful. Let God finish the work he started. Because the same God who led you into this chapter knows exactly how to bring you through it. Point 3. Faith is most real when the future isn't clear. Let's be honest. Trusting God sounds great until you're actually put in a position where you have no choice but to trust him. It's one thing to say God is in control when life is predictable and going according to plan. But when the rug is pulled out from under you, when the plan falls apart, that's where real faith either crumbles or matures. Faith becomes real not when the path is clear, but when it isn't. and you choose to keep walking anyway. Even Jesus, the Son of God, faced a moment where the next step was excruciating. In Luke 22, we find him in the Garden of Gethsemane, fully aware of what was ahead: betrayal, abandonment, suffering, and ultimately death. And in that moment, he prayed something raw and real. In verse 42, he said, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." That wasn't a rehearsal prayer. That was the sound of surrender in the middle of suffering. He didn't say it because he was emotionless. He said it through the weight of emotion. The Bible tells us his sweat was like drops of blood. That's how intense the pressure was. But he trusted the Father, even when the road ahead looked terrifying. And because he surrendered in that moment, redemption was made possible for all of us. What do you do when you come to the end of what you understand, but God is asking you to keep moving? Maybe you're facing a big decision right now, a career shift, a move, a calling you didn't ask for, or a loss you didn't expect. And you're standing there, heart racing, asking God, can you just make this easier? Can you please show me what's about to come my way? But he doesn't always give explanations. Sometimes he simply gives peace. And peace doesn't come from knowing the outcome. Peace comes from knowing who's leading you into it. So here's your takeaway. The strength of your faith isn't proven when everything is clear. It's proving when nothing is clear. And yet you still say, Lord, I trust you. You may not know what the next chapter holds, but if God has allowed the page to turn, he's already in the next line. The author never steps away from the pen. So don't wait until you understand to move forward. Sometimes your next step of obedience is what turns the next page of Revelation. Final thought. Every page in your story matters. Even the confusing ones. Even the painful ones. Especially the transitional ones. The chapter may be shifting, but God's presence remains. He's not just turning the page for you. He's turning it with you. So again, take a deep breath. Let go of what was and walk with courage into what's next. The same God who brought you this far is already in the next chapter, waiting for you to walk into it.